This is the Kestrel Country Podcast, where we discuss the people, places, and events all around Kestrel Country.
Olivia Grauke, thank you so much for coming on. We want to hear a little bit about your background before we jump into talking about camping.
Okay.
So, where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Moscow, right up the street from you, actually.
Okay.
And then when I got married, we have been away for about 20 years or so.
Was it really that long?
It's almost been that long.
Wow.
So
Okay.
after college, we got married, and then we've been away, but we've always stayed in the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. And so we've been back for the last couple of years.
And you bounced around Idaho, too. So Luke, your husband, is a doctor.
Yes.
So what places have you lived?
So we did a lot of he went through residency and medical school and all of that. So we bounced around back and forth between Spokane and Seattle quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And then he also practiced in Lewiston and the Tri-Cities, too, for a couple of stints. But we've spent the most time in Seattle.
Okay.
And the most time in Spokane, the Spokane Coeur d'Alene area.
Yes, and now he works in Coeur d'Alene.
Yes, and he still works there. So we live a little bit of a double life with going back and forth from Coeur d'Alene a lot.
Yes. And in terms of what you did growing up, you've moved around in Moscow, and your experience in camping is what we wanted to land on. But,
yes.
So tell us about where you've lived, though, in Moscow, because you lived in town and out of town, and I feel like that kind of lends itself to...
We lived in town till I was about 9, I think, and then when I was in about the 4th grade, we moved out close to where you guys are now, like out by Robinson Park on property. So we had 40 acres out there, and I just loved it because I was definitely a tomboy. Spent a lot of time with my brother out in the woods.
Learning how to do all of the outdoor
Learning
things.
how to do all the things. But then I also split a lot of time with my older sister doing a lot of cooking and a lot of that stuff too. So I was kind of half and half.
Okay, so did you grow up camping?
No, not really.
Okay, see, that's...
My mom was not a camper, and that was something that my dad and brothers did. Okay. So I did not really learn how to camp until I met Luke. And his mom, Donna, loved camping at the time. And so she was a real car camper, I think they call it. So I've never done a lot of backpacking, but a lot of like car tent camping where you can just bring your bins and
all of it
and all the things.
Yeah. And it makes a huge difference.
It's pretty luxurious when you do it like that.
It's not, I've not done the hardcore backpacking where you,
you have to carry it every time.
Tell us about your first camping experience then.
So I remember after we'd probably been married a year or something, I can't remember, but we went with Luke's family up past Avery, way past Avery, and camped on a river. And that was my first time actually camping with Luke's family. And I remember thinking, like, his mom was, like, pulling out bags of, like, her real silverware and chocolate chip cookies that she had baked. And I was like, oh, camping's pretty fun.
And did you have a tent? Were you doing tent camping?
Yeah, we were doing tent camping. But we were in, we didn't do, like, a campground. You stay, you just pull off and find a place.
Okay.
That looks beautiful right by a river.
Which is a level up because the campground provides you with, maybe running water and maybe a toilet.
Right. So. I don't think I've ever, maybe one time have I camped in an actual campground.
Okay.
So we've always done, if you're going to go tent camping, go somewhere where there's nobody else, find a place to camp, be outside. Yeah. Away from people. And
so the first experience was good.
Yes, it was super fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your advice then when people are wading in? When should they start? And what age should they do it with their kids?
Oh, that's a touchy topic, I think. We camped with our little kids. We had, I think, a baby and a toddler, and that was tough because we were, still in diapers. Yeah. And I think I swore off camping for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So, but it also depends on what kind of camping you're doing. If you're staying in a campground or if you have a camper or a trailer, it's a lot easier. But having little babies and trying to figure out naps in a tent situation with
Just hot.
little camping porta cribs was tricky for me. So I think, and we were in the Seattle area, so we were in residency when I had babies and toddlers, and we didn't do a lot of camping in those years. So we really got started more when we moved back, and my youngest was probably like 4 or 5.
Okay. So everyone's out of diapers. Everyone's able to take care of themselves.
Naps. They're not trying to eat the dirt.
Yeah. You're not sort of bound to nursing by the campfire, that kind of a thing.
So what supplies would you recommend for people starting out?
I think if you're just starting out, the Camp Chef is sort of the holy grail of camping equipment.
Yes.
And I would recommend getting the big one.
Okay, so explain what the big one is.
So there's I think there's single burner ones. There's 2. I get the 3 burner, and then I definitely would get the griddle attachment.
Okay.
I think it comes as wide as like 38 inches. I think.
I
don't know the triple one.
Yeah, the huge.
The triple one. Yeah. And it's big, but if I'm talking about like tent camping.
Right, where it doesn't matter because you can bring as much as you want.
Wherever you are. And if you're at a campground, they usually have like little barbecues. But I would say the Camp Chef with the griddle option is definitely key.
So food is really important.
Food is very important.
Yeah.
I mean, your kids appreciate food when they are at home. I have all teenagers now, so of course they love food so much.
Yes.
But when you're camping, it's like food is even doubly important because they're outside all the time. Yeah, everybody looks forward to the next meal.
Yes, constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the Camp Chef.
Yep.
What else?
I think getting yourself, you can get those black and yellow bins at Costco.
Yes.
Those are also very key. That's the cheapest place to get them. You can bring all your stuff that way.
And you can keep it stored that way.
Yes.
Round. So you know
year-round.
what's in the bin. Mm-hmm. Yes. We've learned about camping because of Grauke's. Well, I've learned about camping because of Grauke's.
Yes.
Mike already knew, but he backpacked. So the bins are something that we have done.
Yeah. So you collect those.
Yeah.
I think of course, you have to have a cooler.
Yes. You can't really have one that's too big.
You can't. I mean, it just depends on how much space you have.
Yes.
And what you want to do about space.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Yeti is a great brand for coolers.
It is.
It's an investment, but we invested in ours and used it as a second fridge at our house.
Yeah.
So, that was a long time ago, many years.
I mean, you can use it as something to hold, totally unrelated to just camping, and cold stuff, but to keep food hot.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
They work just as
You
well
do that with like corn on the cob.
You can
for
cook
big
it
crowds.
right in the. You should Google that, but you should Google cooking corn on the cob, cooler corn on the cob. It's fantastic.
Yes.
So many uses.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt because I feel like I'm sounding really tinny and my microphone might not be working. But is it sounding okay for you guys?
It does sound
Okay.
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
It sounds fine.
Just checking. Sorry.
It's a little.
No, you gotta check.
I know. I feel like I'm
It's a little.
sounding
It's
distant.
it's a little distant,
We
but
don't
it's
want
fine.
to go through the entire thing. We'll find we need to do it again.
No, we don't. But I'm going to turn it up a hair. Anyway, okay. So the cooler, and then
Yeah.
what else do you recommend
As far as gear,
as the gear? Because you guys have switched, and we'll talk about this in a sec. But you've gone from tent camping to camper camping.
yes.
And so we'll talk about that
Yeah.
switch. But if you're getting started in the tent camping world, which is where we still are,
Yes.
except James wants a camper.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I think with those things, you can get away with a lot. I always bring a giant silver bowl, like the really big ones.
Yes.
Because you can use it for mixing everything and then also for washing dishes.
No, that's
so
smart.
I know people have like dish pans, but
yeah,
Yeah, that
I mean,
can be your sink.
Yeah.
it can be your sink. I mean, some people have all the plastic
outdoor
pop-up
sink, yeah.
outdoor sinks and
although
stuff.
those aren't necessarily that big.
They're not that big.
Yeah.
So I like to bring a big bowl and then just your regular utensils. I actually keep a spreadsheet of a list of what I have to bring when I'm going camping.
Do you pack from your kitchen, or do you have duplicates of everything in your?
I
bins?
do both.
Okay.
I have a bin list
Yep.
of just to make sure that it didn't get taken out you know, over the winter for some other
If
thing.
you're stuck without a
Yeah.
can opener.
And then I have a from an inside kitchen list. And so I just like go through and just make sure that I have both.
Yeah.
But if you
Sounds like organization is key to like enjoying it, because once you're out there,
Yeah.
you
You're
can't go,
stuck.
oh, I'll just grab
A wine
whatever
opener
it is.
or a,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just a big fan of keeping track year to year. So just keeping it in your Google Docs or your Google Sheets.
so it's right there.
So it's always there and you can add to it and subtract.
Yeah.
So I also, when we come back, I think I will put a little note in like, oh, it would have been really nice to have this.
Kitchen
or,
towels.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or Clorox wipes.
Yes.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, because if there's no way to
Get the running
always,
water.
yeah,
Yeah.
have clean hands and
It's a thing.
bring the kitchen gloves.
Yes.
So I use those when I'm camping a lot because you often can't wash your hands
That's
in
smart.
between dealing with the raw meat and the
So just
salad.
the little plastic disposable.
So just the little disposable ones that you
That's
get at the food supply store.
yeah, that is smart.
So I always bring those when I'm camping. So in between, you
just
don't have to worry about washing your hands.
And the garbage with the zipper lid is also a pretty great thing.
Yes.
In terms of animals not coming in at night.
Wow, I haven't
But,
heard
um,
of this one.
Yeah,
Coming in. And
that
eating
is
all the-
also key. Yes.
One of the things we learned about from Grauke's, and it was literally the night before we were going up camping with you. Were you guys on that one? I'm not sure, but it was the potty tent. Which was a thing, because if you are not at a campground that has a porta potty, this was something that Isaac, I think, told Mike. It was Isaac that told Mike about.
Okay.
So I was like, wow. But and it
Yes.
sounds hilariously funny because it is.
Yeah.
But it adds a whole nother level of comfort for everybody.
Yes, and you can put it separate,
Far away.
far away.
Yep, completely. And it's those
Yeah.
pop-up like shower style tents, you know, or changing style tents, which also has another benefit. But it was a hilarious
Yes,
thing.
I do think
get
this was,
introduced to.
yes, somewhere along the way, this is when I decided maybe trailers and
Are
campers
better?
were better.
Okay, so tell us about the switch from tent camping to trailer camping.
We, I think it was just a matter of as our kids got older, and the more people you have, the easier it is
To have the trailer.
to have a trailer.
Okay.
And we were also like, if you're wanting to take lots of people, and it just depends on where you're going. But some campgrounds have, they have trailer hookups.
Yep.
Some people they rent camping spaces for the whole summer
And
on
you
the
guys
St.
have done
Joe.
that.
We've never done it, but our family has. So Isaac and Katie have.
Yep.
And so that's just easier. So it's just like, just the progression. You can also just stay diehard tent camping if you want,
Or backpack camping.
or backpack camping. But yeah, having trailers just makes it, it's just more comfort for everybody.
Yeah.
And you can also, at that point, take toddlers and babies too.
And have to be able to take a nap.
Yeah, they could take a nap.
Yeah.
There's a bathroom. It's just a little easier.
What about the drive-in? Oh, sorry, Jen.
Yeah. How many can it sleep though? Is it really enough?
Well, it just depends on the size that you want to get.
Okay. Like
mean-
the biggest, how many is it? Family of 7 size?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they can sleep up to 8. I mean, you can get like 4 bunk
big
beds, a pull-out, and a couple's bed usually. Yeah, on the big
quite a
ones.
lot.
That's big. We don't have one that big, but
Yeah.
or you can always just get a really small one and have the adults sleep in it, and then the
Kids in the tent?
kids are in the tent, or the girls and the adults are in the
Yeah.
trailer, and the boys are in all the tents.
Yeah.
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 Combo it and
great.
mix it up. So in terms of using one of those though, is it harder to get it up and get it into the campground, to find a space for it?
It just depends on where you're going. You just have to plan more. You have to plan for it.
Where do you recommend going in general? Without giving away any of your
With that,
Your secret
well,
sauce.
I think going like Huckleberry is a great one. There's really good campgrounds at Priest Lake. I always like camping by the water.
Yes.
So, but you have to reserve those like to the minute, 6 months in. I think it's 6 months in advance on the
Priest.
on the website.
Okay.
Wow.
You have to get on. Like they're hard to get.
Okay.
But I really like. I like staying up at Priest Lake. We once camped on Kalispell Island, which
fun.
is really fun. but that's boat camping.
So you literally have to take everything.
Yeah. I mean, you can boat all the way up to priest, like upper priest. But if you want to stay like closer in like the main priest area, you can boat your stuff across to Kalispell Island, and it's just first come, first serve.
Okay.
And so we've done that too.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
that's really fun. The
And then
kids
it has
love
to be tent camping.
And it has to be tent camping. They do have bathrooms. So they have like campsites around the island with a bathroom, and there's usually 2 campsites on either side.
Yeah.
So you just send a dad with the canoe at like 4 a.m, and they start circling, and then they stake out the campsite, and then you just bin stuff over
that's fun.
in the canoe or your boat if you have one.
So
That's
then
really
at
fun.
Priest Lake, do you guys fish too? Or what kind of activities are you doing?
You can fish. You can just do a lot of swimming and boating.
Yeah.
Kalispell Island has a path that goes all the way around.
How big is the island?
Oh, I think it maybe takes, depending on how old your kids are, maybe an hour to walk all the way around. It's not
That's
that
not
big. You can make it around in like an hour.
Oh, that's fun.
And depending on how old your kids are, there's lots of places to stop and
Yeah.
play in the like pond/mud, find the frogs.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of fun memories from doing that.
That's really fun. I've never done Priest. I actually don't think I've ever been up to Priest. Mike has, but he went and did they have the cabins you can reserve. I think they call it a resort, but it's more cabin style, because you can also charter a fishing boat, which he did on a birthday.
Yes.
And go fish up there, which is fun.
Yeah.
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 And the granite slides are up in Priest Lake area too.
Yeah, the rock slides.
Yes, the rock slides.
Yes.
Have you guys done those?
We have done those.
And survived?
And survived. They're kind of scary if you're an adult size because you go really fast.
Okay.
Um,
And how do you stop at the bottom?
yeah, you don't. I mean, you kind of position yourself to catch the kids when they were little, but it's fun. You take black garbage bags and
Go down.
slide down.
So you need to do that with the kids.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
be ready for a broken bone.
Well, yeah, it's fun though.
No, that's really fun. Okay, so trailer camping. When you make the shift to trailer camping, what do you recommend gear-wise there? Or for what kind of, young families, it's helpful. Is there a time frame where it's optimal to have the trailer, or is it just kind of great?
Oh.
All ages.
Yeah, all ages.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to.
Yeah.
Tent camping is great too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it just depends on what you're willing to do and
Yeah. And how important it is to sleep. I have to say, with tent camping, the cots make a world of difference.
yes.
Or assume, I'm trying to think if I've ever had to do it without the cot, which sounds kind of funny. But the cot really does make a difference. Because,
Yeah.
it just gets you up off the ground. And then if you put a pad down on top of the cot, it adds a level of comfort to you. So you're not stuck in the sling.
Probably more warmth too.
Yeah, right. If you're not directly on the ground.
Yeah.
So
That's a lot more comfy.
it is a lot more comfy.
Yeah.
What about food? What do you pack for your food?
So for food, like for tent camping, like
Well, for
going
camping.
out, for going out,
Yep. If you're going out, what's your best tips on the food front?
I'd say, of course, you want to take a day and just prep food that you're going to need. But I also think, like, the same rule when you're just starting out entertaining, one of the rules is like, just focus on one thing that's really amazing and homemade, and then the rest you just buy to sort of fit in. And I think that applies to camping. I mean, just focus on one thing that's going to be really good. Make it ahead of time if you can. I'm not a super fan of hamburgers while you're camping.
Okay, why is that?
I just think that they're like the hamburger is hard to deal with. Do you keep it
keep it
frozen?
cold.
Yeah, do you keep it frozen? Do you not? And then the buns get squished in bins and stuff. And so I like things like doing fajitas or something like that. Tortillas are super packable. You can cut up everything ahead of time. You can cook the chicken ahead of time if you want.
Right.
And then freeze it.
Yeah.
And then it will last longer in the cooler.
With the cooler last time, what's your, how long are you thinking on a cooler trip? In terms of how many days can you go?
Yeah,
Based
I
on the
think,
cooler.
based on the cooler, I think you can, 4 or 5 days. You can go a little bit longer if
Okay.
you have a really good cooler.
It's really keeping it
Yeah.
cold. But if you
mean-
had raw meat, then you're...
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to think ahead you just plan like what you're going to eat in order of when
It would spoil.
it's going to thaw or, or if it's already fully cooked.
Yeah.
Like doing like brats and hot dogs are very easy,
Yes.
much easier than hamburgers. A lot less toppings. You can caramelize onions and do all that
Yeah.
stuff on the griddle. And so it's just a little bit simpler.
Yes.
So doing things like that, doing like even like Mediterranean chicken, like chicken pitas and things that are anything that can be handheld.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So-
very true.
And do you bring the real silverware or do you go plastic and paper?
No, we just do plastic and paper.
And
Yeah.
just pitch it.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of not spending too much time washing up
A
afterwards.
million dishes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Cold
if you're going with a lot of people, I mean, the kids are around to help.
Yes.
And
And they like it at that point because
They
they're still
do.
outdoors and
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you're with friends.
Yes.
We used to, when we had 3 families together, we'd always do this trip and we would just, divide the kids into little teams and you mix up so they're with friends. So the cleanup goes really fast.
And they just have their designated day.
They have their designated day.
Right.
Every family does a breakfast and a dinner, and then the other families clean up.
Yeah.
Or you pick one family to be on cleanup duty.
Well, and then if you have the multiple families, you don't need to all bring, the camp chef, or you don't all
Right.
need to bring. You just set up one kitchen for everybody, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would help.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fun too.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What's your favorite camping story?
Ooh.
And it could be because of any element, positive or negative.
Oh gosh. I don't know.
Okay. What
I don't
about worst camping experience?
Worst.
We'll go with that one.
Well, I think when you can't sleep, it's the worst. But no, I don't really have any best and worst stories.
You never got rained out.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Do you have hot tips for the persons that not sure if they like camping, but they're gonna try? It's like, what maybe they've never been camping.
Yeah, I would say if you live here, then take your stuff down to Hell's Gate State Park. It's close by. It's by the water. The weather is usually better if you go south. If it's July or August, then you can go up to Coeur d'Alene and
At Hayburn.
State Park. That one you also, I think, have to get your reservations
You do.
early.
What about Hell's Gate? Do you have to do reservations?
Probably.
Okay.
I would bet it's pretty busy in July or August. But yeah, and I would say just go for the day.
And not spend the night, you mean?
And yeah, don't even spend the night. Just go for the day and see how it is, like cooking a couple of meals and figuring it out. Or just go. I mean, if you're going to go for one night, you might as well go for 2 because you have to pack. Like it's the same amount of work.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you're just starting out, just go somewhere close by and get your stuff packed up and yeah.
And if you're not sure about the investment, and so how much of the gear is critical to making it enjoyable?
Oh yeah.
So I think the camp chef and a cooler are pretty critical
And those
to
are things you
making
would
it.
use no matter what. So even if you decide that camping is not for you.
Oh, I'm a huge fan of the crossover between all of my outdoor camping stuff and then keeping it out at my house. Because somewhere along the way, one of our houses, our kitchen was very tiny, like 3 feet by 3 feet. And so I just got out the camping, like I set up the propane stove on the back deck and did a lot of my cooking outside.
That's fantastic.
So
Yeah.
you can entertain so much more with big crowds of people at your house if you're utilizing your outdoor kitchen, like cooking stuff.
Right.
So-
and then the heat is staying out there if it's summertime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or if you're deep fat frying something
Oh, yeah.
or
Yep.
canning. I've done a lot of canning outside on my propane stove. It goes a lot faster.
And if you lose power, you have your
You can still do it.
you have your backup.
Yeah. But I think all of your outdoor cooking equipment doesn't have to be limited to camping. So if you want to try camping, but you're worried, like,
I'm wasting
what
whole
if I
bunch of money.
invest in all this stuff and then we decide, I don't know if I can do this with all my kids.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a waste because you can just get it out and use it at your house
Yeah.
and you can do all kinds of things
It's true.
with big groups of people at your house.
Yeah.
More with a griddle even than with a barbecue.
Yeah, the griddle is fantastic. I mean, cooking burgers on the griddle is so good.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
smash burger style.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is really fun
Yep.
at your house.
At your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you can do all the toppings and it's not as tedious
Yes.
as it would be
Well,
with camping.
it's easy to do
Yeah.
I guess. It's easy to do hamburgers if you have a small group when you're tent camping,
Right.
but it's really fun to do them at your house.
Yeah.
And you can feed a lot of people that way.
Yes, you can.
And yeah, I have a Blackstone griddle.
Yes.
They make these big ones. They're much fancier now. We've had ours for lots of years.
Yeah.
And but if you have that at your house, you can just
Oh, yeah.
I use it more than a barbecue
I believe it.
or a Traeger even. So it just makes you can do breakfast on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. What about if the best things for keeping warm? So it gets cold at night. What's the tips to stay warm?
Make sure that you have a really good sleeping bag. Make sure that you bring all your long underwear. So, having wool or wool blends that are still comfy to sleep in.
Yeah.
I don't think we can really camp anywhere here where, unless you're going down south,
Where you
it's almost like I still pack a down coat,
because it's so cold.
even in July.
Yeah, as soon as the sun's gone, the warmth is gone. It's just freezing again.
Yeah, so you do have to bring your warm boots, like fuzzy boots and warm stuff for the nighttime.
Yeah. So it's a lot of
Battery-powered
packing.
socks.
The battery powered socks.
I do have battery powered socks. I do. I don't know that I've taken those camping, but
Winter.
winter. We've camped up at the North Fork of the Clearwater,
And it's cold.
and it's the middle of July, but you're still wanting to grab that puffy coat in the morning.
In the early morning, you wake up, you're cold, and yeah, it's just cold. So, and staying warm is important because if you can't,
That's
Yeah.
my
get warm.
least favorite part, honestly, is waking up because you have to get out of the sleeping bag even if you manage to be warm there,
Yeah.
and it's cold.
Yeah.
Well, then
When you're out.
it makes the coffee that much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Nothing
Nothing helps. You're just too cold.
Nothing helps until the sun actually warms
Until it
the place
actually
up.
comes up.
Yeah.
Well, if you think like about this time of year, you start to get tired of your puffy coat.
Yeah.
But then you put it away for May and June, and you just pull that thing back out and make sure that you have it.
What's
Because
July and August.
July, August. So would you say July and August are the optimal camping months?
Oh,
in
for
Idaho?
sure.
And just don't even try it before then? Or what do you think?
well, I just think you have to be willing to be rained out
Right.
if you're going to go in May or June.
Because we booked June last year and then canceled. For various reasons. It was work stuff and then the rain. And, I think there was a bundle of things.
May and June are pretty iffy.
Yeah.
July and August are very beautiful. September is really beautiful. When we lived in Washington State, our kids didn't start school till a lot later,
Okay.
like almost the end of September.
So you could go.
And so
empty.
we had some really beautiful warm weather at the St. Joe River in September. So, but in Idaho schools, we've learned coming back, like schools start,
Pretty much
Pretty
August,
much,
September,
and-
right
yeah.
after Labor Day.
yeah.
In August, you're
So
gonna
it's,
be in.
Yeah.
so you got to maximize in July and August.
Where would you recommend with little kids in water that's a good spot that's not too dangerous, if that makes sense?
Oh yeah, if there's like a shallow
Yeah,
area where
that's
the
what I'm
littles
looking-
can play.
Yeah.
That's close by.
It's closer. Yeah.
That you're still getting good water. Well, I do think going down to the Snake River is probably the closest, and there's good beaches
yeah.
around there. But I haven't been to Hayburn in a long time. I'm trying to remember.
I feel like-
don't feel like there's.
We had to drive to a different part of Hayburn to go play on that beachy spot. We camped on one side, and there was water there, but you couldn't see it from the campsite.
Okay.
So the kids could get down there, which is, you just want to keep an eye on your kids. But I don't think it was a good playing spot. We went to play, and we had to drive and pack up to get over to the beach. And I don't remember the names.
Yeah.
So it wasn't one where you had it right out your campsite.
Yeah.
Which could be a positive or a negative depending on the age of the kids.
Yeah.
Because that's naturally a concern. But the Selkirk, I think we were looking at doing the Selkirk last year. And in the springtime, I think we were told the water would be rushing a lot more.
Yeah.
Or June even,
Yeah.
than it would be later in the summer.
May and June, the rivers are pretty high and pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so if you have little kids, it makes me nervous.
Right.
But
But it gets slower and slows down. Does the Joe
Yeah.
do that too? Is it pretty high in the springtime?
it is very high
Okay.
in the springtime, especially if you've had a lot of late snowfall like this year.
And cold.
And it's been cold.
Yeah. So it probably
So-
just hasn't melted yet.
Yeah, but usually by August, the rivers are a lot slower. And there's lots of places that you can camp
Yeah.
along the the St. Joe has a lot of campgrounds and a lot of places that you can just even pull off.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And are those ones reserve or first come, first serve?
it just depends on where you are.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the campgrounds. I think are probably reserved.
Yeah.
I haven't checked in a long time.
I know. I haven't
many
reserved,
years.
I haven't reserved any campgrounds
Yeah.
this summer.
I know for sure Priest Lake. It's a very popular spot, but if you can reserve, they have wonderful beaches that are really easy for kids. If you like campground, camping, and your goal is to like be on a lake and have sandy beach.
But you will be close to other campers.
You will be.
Okay.
Yeah. Lion's Head is very popular.
Yeah.
And then the one up from Hills Resort.
We haven't
Do you
been
remember the name of that one?
No, because up in Priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't been.
It's very popular, but it's also very fun if you want to camp there because you can walk down and if you wanted to play pickleball or tennis.
That's really fun.
So that's fun.
Yeah, it adds a different dynamic to the camping experience.
Yeah.
Gives you a few more options.
It does.
Yeah, those you have to reserve
Okay.
in advance.
We've done Dvorak, which was fun.
Yeah,
But
Dvorak is fun.
It was busy campground. End of the summer, it's dropped, and so you have this huge layer of mud.
Oh, yeah.
So before you hit the water, you go through what looks more like sand, but you start walking, and it's this muddy, gunky stuff. I mean, it's still fun, but it's not quite the set up on the beach at all. Very easily, kind of on the dirt.
Yeah.
So, well, that's fun. Any final thoughts and tips?
Food wise,
Anything.
camping wise,
Yeah.
I think you just have to be willing to get out there and try it, and invest in some of the equipment. If you're starting out, invest in the equipment, knowing that you can use it at your house too. So that's really my biggest tip. I'm a huge fan of cooking while you're camping, planning ahead, but then also getting out your stuff and using it on your back porch.
It's true.
Year round.
Yeah. Even some of the chairs or the tables. Oh, that is a question. Because you end up sitting on the campfire, do you have a chair recommendation or a style of chair?
If you're tent camping, the ones that have the trays are nice for just holding those. I think even Costco sells them.
Yeah.
REI has great camp chairs.
Yeah.
Actually, someone gave us chairs for our wedding, camp chairs that we used for like years and years and years.
Yeah.
It was such a good wedding gift.
It is a good wedding
gift. You don't put that on your registry.
No, not normally.
Not normally.
Well, I know. I've seen some camping stuff on registries before,
Yes, it's actually great. Because your camping chair is.
Well, you end up sitting, a fair bit on the campfire.
Yeah.
So sometimes those upright ones.
The upright ones are not super comfy.
No. I mean, it's great for eating.
The back of it's almost like pushing
you,
forward.
especially if it rounds uneven.
Those are
Yeah.
awful.
But then.
We had a set from REI. It was an REI brand chair that it was more like it let you lean back.
Yeah.
And
that's comfortable.
And they were super comfortable. So we took those
But
everywhere.
Then you can use those at home too, honestly. I mean,
I know.
You've got a big crowd of people.
You can use them
In the summertime.
And you're taking them to your kids' sports sometimes. So
There you go.
always invest in a good, comfy pair of camp chairs. And then as you grow, you get more and more and more
Yes, to fit everybody else.
to fit everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate all the tips
Yeah.
and coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next week.